Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are opening up the ultimate professional playbook for anyone who wants to stop just managing tasks and start actually leading people. We have all had those managers. You know the type. They are brilliant at the technical side of the business. They know the spreadsheets inside and out. They can navigate the company hierarchy with ease, and they can craft a strategy that looks perfect on a PowerPoint presentation. But when they walk into a meeting, the room goes cold. When someone brings them a genuine, high-stakes emotional problem, they shut down, offer a scripted, robotic response, or completely ignore the reality of the situation. The result? Their teams are constantly anxious. Creativity is stifled, and the best talent eventually walks out the door. For years, the corporate world treated emotions like a disease that needed to be quarantined from. The office. We were told to leave our feelings at the door and be strictly rational, cold-blooded logic machines. But the most recent breakthroughs in behavioral science have proven that this old-school approach is a fast track to organizational failure. Today, we are doing a deep dive, immersive storytelling breakdown of a book that provides the definitive professional operating system for this new reality. The Emotionally Intelligent Manager by David R. Caruso and Peter Salovey. Caruso and Salovey are the architects of the ability model of emotional intelligence. They do not look at EQ as just a personality trait or a set of soft social skills. They define it as a concrete, measurable set of cognitive abilities that you can train, sharpen, and apply to every single management challenge you face. This book will strip away the myths, reveal the precise neurological tools you need to master your management presence, and hand you a professional blueprint to turn every emotional hurdle into a high-status strategic victory. Get incredibly comfortable. Eliminate all outside digital distractions. Grab your leadership notebook and let us decode the secret science of the Emotionally Intelligent Manager. Part 1. The 4-branch ability model of management. Let us begin our story by looking at the core architecture of the ability model. Caruso and Salovey argue that emotional intelligence is not a vague feeling. It is a rigorous, 4-branch cognitive skill set that you use to process information in your professional life. The first branch is identifying emotions. This is your ability to accurately read the emotional state of yourself, your team members, and your clients by analyzing their facial expressions, body language, vocal tone, and written words. Think of a manager who walks into a team meeting and immediately notices a slight shift in a senior engineer's posture and a subtle change in their facial micro-expressions. Because they have mastered the first branch, they accurately identify that this person is feeling deep, unvoiced concern about the project's timeline, rather than just being difficult. The second branch is using emotions. This is the ability to harness your feelings to solve problems and improve your thinking. You do not just suppress your emotions, you use them as data. For instance, if you are tackling a highly creative project, you might deliberately lean into feelings of excitement and curiosity to boost your innovative thinking. If you need to make a critical, high-stakes decision, you might steer your mood toward a calm, analytical state to ensure you remain objective. The third branch is understanding emotions. This is your ability to analyze complex emotional states and understand how they evolve. It is the high-level cognition that allows you to see that a teammate's sudden anger is not actually about the project deadline, but is instead the result of an escalating chain reaction of stress, feeling undervalued, and experiencing a lack of clarity in their role. The fourth branch is managing emotions. This is your capacity to stay open to your feelings while simultaneously being able to regulate them in a way that promotes your goals. This is the ultimate professional superpower. You remain fully aware of your own frustration during a heated negotiation, but you choose not to act on that emotion, instead steering the conversation toward a constructive, win-win outcome. Part 2. The Art of Emotionally Intelligent Decision-Making. Now, let us apply these branches to the most critical task of management, making high-stakes professional decisions. Caruso and Salovey explain that every decision you make is filtered through the lens of your current emotional state. If you try to make a major strategic choice while you are in a state of deep, unconscious stress, your brain will systematically limit your view to short-term survival tactics, completely blinding you to long-term growth opportunities. To master the art of decision-making, you must learn to integrate your feelings into the analytical process. Do not treat emotions as the enemy of logic. Treat them as essential, high-resolution data points that must be included in your strategic calculus. Start by asking yourself, what is my current emotional state, and how is it influencing the way I am framing this problem? Are you making this choice because it is objectively the best strategic path? Or are you making it because you are afraid of the conflict that might arise if you choose the alternative? By bringing your internal state into your conscious awareness, you break the unconscious bias of your emotional mood, ensuring that your logic is pristine and your strategy is sound. Furthermore, use your emotional intelligence to map the likely reaction of your team. When you introduce a new organizational change, do not just analyze the technical logistics. Analyze the emotional impact. How will this change make the team feel? Will it trigger a sense of loss, a fear of incompetence, or a surge of excitement? By anticipating these emotional reactions, you can tailor your communication strategy to address their underlying concerns directly, building the psychological support and momentum you need to execute your plan with absolute speed and alignment. Part 3. Managing high-stakes interpersonal conflict. Conflict is an unavoidable, constant reality of the management landscape. Most managers either flee from conflict in fear or dive into it with raw, aggressive force. Both paths are guaranteed to destroy your leadership reputation and kill your team's productivity. The emotionally intelligent manager takes a third path, the path of strategic, constructive resolution. When a conflict erupts between two team members, your first move is to master the first branch and identify the exact emotions in the room. Do not just focus on the content of their argument. Focus on the emotional undercurrents. Are they feeling unheard, disrespected, or anxious about their status? By naming the emotion, you immediately lower the temperature of the room. When people feel that their emotional reality is accurately seen and understood, their primitive defense systems start to power down. Once you have identified the emotional state, Move to the third branch and help them understand why they are feeling that way. Act as a neutral, high-resolution mediator. Ask them to explain their perspective without blaming the other person. Guide the conversation until both parties can see the situation from the other side. This is not about forcing them to be best friends. It is about establishing a functional, professional alignment. You are using your understanding of human psychology to move the conversation away from the ego-driven, toxic debate and toward the objective, strategic goals of the business. You hold the space with absolute calm, providing the psychological safety that allows the team to work through the friction and emerge with a stronger, more resilient working relationship. Part 4. Leading with Emotional Authenticity. As our storytelling journey reaches its final destination, let us look at the most powerful, lasting legacy of the emotionally intelligent manager, the cultivation of authentic, resonant leadership. The authors warn us that you cannot fake emotional intelligence. If you try to use these tools as a cynical, manipulative act to trick your team into working harder, they will see through it in an instant. Authenticity is the baseline requirement. Your people do not expect you to be a perfect, emotionless machine. They expect you to be human. When you mess up, own it with absolute transparency. When you are stressed, acknowledge it without losing your professional poise. When you feel genuine pride in your team's success, express it with sincerity. This level of emotional honesty is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate mark of high-status strength. It tells your team that you are a real person who carries the same human weight that they do, and that you are committed to navigating that reality with integrity, clarity, and courage. Leading with emotional authenticity creates a culture of profound trust. When you show your team that you are willing to be honest about your own internal world, you give them the permission to be honest about theirs. You create an environment where problems are surfaced early, where feedback is viewed as a high-value gift, and where the collective energy of the group is focused entirely on achieving the organizational mission. You transform the office from a cold, transactional space into a high-performance laboratory of human growth, where every individual feels seen, valued, and empowered to contribute their absolute best work. What is the #1 emotional intelligence strategy from this masterclass? Whether it is committing to treat your emotions as critical data points for every high-stakes decision you make, practicing the 4-branch model to mediate the next major team conflict with absolute clarity, or choosing to lead with radical authenticity to build a foundation of bulletproof trust that you are going to commit to practicing in your management role today, let me know your leadership and organizational goals in the comments down below. If this deep dive storytelling summary completely restructured your mental frameworks and handed you an elite, high-status architectural playbook for emotional management, show some incredible love by clicking that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another profound psychological, behavioral science, or high-level management book breakdown, and share this video with a manager who needs to level up their connection presence today. Identify your feelings, integrate your data, lead with humanity, and I will see you in the next video.